Ladies and gentlemen, broadcasting live.
Let's go, baby!
From Dallas, Texas.
No puppies. I need a dog to make a play.
Presented by the law firm of Vincent Carrizales.
It's time for football.
It's Paco's Locker Room Talk.
What a day, what a day, what a day.
What a day, what a day, what a day. I'd like to welcome our guest, Reggie Barnes, University of Oklahoma, linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. Came out with Barry Switzer. I believe Coach Switzer brought you out, didn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my man.
Yeah, well, welcome, Reggie. I'm glad you could come out.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming out. We've got Billy Davis on his way. I think his Uber got hijacked or something like that, but he'll be here in a few minutes, Reggie. So he'll jump right on in. But today I'm not wearing my jersey. I am, of course, representing SMU 6-0.
Smooth.
Reggie, that's better than you guys are doing right now. What's your record over at OU?
No, we're 6-0 too.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this seriously. Serious question. You think y'all could beat us?
Just line up and play the game, baby. Line up and play the game. We've been here before, Paco.
Okay. But you know what? Back in the 80s now, Reggie, y'all couldn't touch us.
Well, absolutely. Whenever I was coming out of high school, graduating in 88, I wanted to go to SMU.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to high school?
South Grand Prairie. And so it was right down the street. I said, this is perfect. Then they got on probation.
Oh, man.
Then they didn't have a team. So
Reggie,
I had to go.
Reggie, I did not even know you went to South Grand Prairie.
South Grand
You're
Prairie.
originally from here, seriously?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
I thought you were an Oklahoma guy all the way around.
Well, I spent a lot of time up there, but
Yeah.
I'm Texas.
Yeah. And when let's see, so you left Oklahoma in what year?
92.
And who was your coach there?
I was actually Switzer's last recruiting class.
Okay.
So then after my freshman year, coach resigned, then Gary Gibbs took over. Then after I finished up at OU, I spent 2 years with the Steelers with Coach Cower. And then I
Okay.
came down to Dallas.
Okay. At the time you were left OU, I know when Kevin Smith and all those guys left A&M, they had to take a pay cut to come to the NFL. Was that the same situation with you?
We didn't do that at Oklahoma. It was fortunate just to be able to play there.
Let me grab my boots because it's just getting deep in here.
So you relish in that opportunity to have that interlocking OU on the side of your helmet, just like having that star. Okay. That means that much to you.
Okay. If you say so, Reggie. I mean, I don't believe all that BS.
But I had a nice
we were
car.
the only ones that got caught.
I did have a nice car, so I was all right.
Okay. and so, Reggie, you out of South Grand Prairie, were you a blue chipper back then? Or
I was.
Were you really?
Yeah, All-American.
Wow, I did not know that. Yeah. I did not know that. And then
So what's really special about that is that the Texas Dave Campbell magazine.
Yes.
So I made
Texas
the
Monthly.
Yes.
Yes.
So I made the Super Prep team, and so they have guys on there that end up playing at Texas. Tom Jeter and some other guys and played in the league, and then years later, my son Robert made the same Super Prep team.
Wow, that's right.
Out of South Lake Carroll, and so those things you go back, and I actually called the magazine and asked, hey, can I get an old copy? And they sent me a copy, and I said, how many times are you going to have your son and a dad in that same magazine, 20-some years later?
Wow, and so you're saying that they never paid you at OU, then why would you move to South Lake?
I'm married up. I married a beautiful lady. I'm married up.
Oh, okay. So wife is making the money. Okay, I got you. All right. Yeah, a lot of the guys moved to South Lake.
Yeah, it's a nice area over there. It
Ray
really
Mickens,
is.
Ray, and some of the guys like that out of the league, they live in South Lake. It's a real nice neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad at you, Reggie, do your thing, boss. And so you played 2 years with the Steelers.
Yep.
Was Barry Foster there with you?
Absolutely. In fact, I played against Barry in high school.
Really?
So
he was
from
Duncanville. That's right.
And he actually, his wife Teray, went to South Grand Prairie. And so she's a year older than me. Her and Barry are the same age. And so, the history goes back with a lot of us that knew each other in high school. And again, fast forward, have a chance to be teammates again. And so a lot of good stuff.
Wow. Great, man. And I think also I've got a quick story about as far as a wife and how they met, do you know who George Lopez is?
Yeah.
Do you remember? This may have been way before your time. You got to remember, I was with the Cowboys. I started part-time in '85.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and I met a guy.
I was in 7th grade then. So
You were in 7th grade?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was young. I was a young puppy back then. I think I was 17, 18 years old. But we had a guy by the name of Luis Sendejas who was our kicker. And we're driving down 75, and he says, man, pull over. Did you see what was over at the Improv? And I was like, no, what's going on over there? He says, my boy, George Lopez. And I didn't know who the hell George Lopez was. Mm-hmm. So we pull over, and we pull in there, and sure enough, it's George Lopez. He introduced me to George Lopez, and he tells George Lopez, hey, man, if you ever come to Dallas, this is our guy. He takes care of all the players. Paco. Ask for Paco, and he'll take care of you. So fast forward, we started hanging out, and Lopez had just started comedy back in 82 or 85, something like that. So we became good friends. Everson Walls, one day in the locker room, he's like, hey, Paco, I heard you met George Lopez. I'm like, yeah. He says, I'd like to go to his show. Can you hook me up? Yeah, come on. So I get Walls hooked up. Walls calls me and says, hey, my wife Sherelle wants to come to the show. And she's got her best friend with her, Mary. Mary went to SMU.
Okay.
Mary ended up marrying George Lopez.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the one that gave up the kidney to him, and then he drops her a month later.
Oh, that's bad business.
Bad biz, but we'd like to welcome our head honcho here, Billy Davis.
Hello. Hi. Is this about the Cowboys? Is this the Paco reminiscing Mauer?
Cowboys, baby. You know.
I mean, what are we talking about here? We got Reggie Barnes here. What are we talking about?
Louise and Day, we're talking about wives. We're talking.
Okay.
You know, are you still married, by the way?
I've never been married, man.
Okay, well, see,
I'm
that's
married
why
at the game, man. I'm good, but I'm just trying to figure out what in the hell are we talking about?
We're talking about wives stories, man. You know. So, Billy, we're glad to have you in.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Understand.
Hey, it's good to see you, my old teammate. I know he's on. You know, I need to ask him what it feels like to be cheering for a winner. OU.
Oh yes,
absolutely.
There's a lot less to be desired in Cowboy Nation at this point, but man, OU, God,
Rocking.
you guys are having a run.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to be a historical, like landmark. It's going to be 3 Heisman, all quarterbacks. Probably all of them go first round.
We have the quarterback.
That's not a bad day at the office there, if you know. And then you still have the old coach who transitioned. Here's what I understand, Cowboy Nation. So we're going to have Reggie speak to this, but you have an organization that can transition and still win. You can lose a player and be next man up. So the problem is, why can't we get that right?
Well, there's no free agency in college football.
No, but
So-
which makes it even harder. Because
Absolutely.
you can't go out there and find what you want. You can't
You know,
pick anything off the shelf.
In Oklahoma, tradition is a lot of it, and they're able to get the best of the best across the country. And when you got good play callers and a good system and a good place to
You
be.
said, wait, you said good play callers, a good system. Okay, wait. All right, we'll keep talking. I'm trying to get these check
Things
marks
work out
up.
very well for you.
You got a good play caller, a good system. That means you can plug in players and they can do
What you do.
what the system tells them to do, right?
Exactly.
We need to get a memo to the Star in Frisco.
immediately.
Hey,
ASAP.
you can't take our coach down. He needs to win 3 national championships before he decides, when he does decide, to take on the NFL.
Oh man,
But we need 3 more.
3 more.
Yeah, we only got 7, so we need 3 more.
So okay, my alma mater, Pitt. I think we have 9
National championships.
Yeah.
Oh, that was before they had the helmets, right?
Well, he got the joke. When you were current winner, you never say history don't matter unless it was yesterday.
Absolutely.
It was almost like NFL wives. Your season's over, and so is this marriage. Your career's over, and so is this marriage. Here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah, man. But we put out some dogs. I mean, we've had Hall of Famers, me, and had some historical greats came out of the University of Pittsburgh.
Oh, absolutely.
Tony Dorsett.
Of course, got TD played here.
TD.
But no, amazing. I mean, I can't. You have to like. People should be attracted to smart. People should be attracted to winners, and people should be attracted to, success.
Absolutely.
And I don't care if it's your team or if it's not your team. And that's why we want to talk about, some things in the locker room. Because we have, winning games starts from the inside out. And that inside is that locker room. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where the heartbeat is, because that's where you feel. But, speaking to your, obviously you still have great ties to your alma mater, which is a great standard bearer, because success don't change whether you're a pro, peewee, or in college. Absolutely. The intensity and culture of that is what really matters. So maybe, that insight of how OU, that's a great page to take out and say, hey, what is this winning thing about? Or, you have to learn how to win.
Yeah, and Coach Switzer said, long time ago, Oklahoma invented winning.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, when you have a great culture, though, like I said, in a system and in an environment that fosters championships, then it is the next man up. It is the next group that comes in is trying to better the last group. And sometimes they never reach that because that target keeps building. When you have a winning streak of 47 games in a row, that's never been done before. Those are the kind of things that you can strive to do. And that's hard to do. And Lincoln's trying to do that. And he's only lost 3 games, since he's been there. So there's a lot of different things that, like I said, when you come in that locker room and you have that chemistry and that fellowship of we have one goal in mind, and that's to be the best we can be today. And practice becomes very intense, and practice
harder than the games.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, because when they allowed you to practice,
Yeah.
games was just like compared to what I had to see all week. This is going to be a vacation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I can imagine that they call it the Oklahoma drill for a reason.
Exactly. It started there. You're starting to get the theme, aren't you? A lot of things.
Hey man, slow down. I'm giving you compliments. Let's not get it.
Let's not go overboard.
Hey, I do have to tell you one University of Pittsburgh story, right? So I'm playing for the Steelers, and we get this record snow coming in. Well, at the time, the Steelers, they didn't have an indoor facility.
Oh, I was still at Pitt.
Yeah. And so
that's right.
We would practice outside, and they would have a snowplow cleaning off one end of the field. Then we walk down there and practice. And then it'll be snowing down here. We go back down here. So one day, Coward says, hey, we're going to go over to Pitt and practice. So we load up on the bus and get over there. Trying to go up this hill, we can't make it.
The hill. The hill.
We got to push this bus up the hill.
Yep.
Yeah, we cannot get up the hill to their little practice facility.
The little one that you needed, right?
No, but see, at Oklahoma, ours is.
I'm sorry, we're talking about the Steelers right now,
50
right?
yards. No, University of Pitt. That's what the University of Pitt did have. But anyway, you had what you had, and we needed it because we wanted to get out of the weather.
Because you didn't have one.
Go
ahead.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you got to go
but
to college.
They share facility now.
Yeah, well, that's
so
the story.
They help little brother out.
Well, that's why they got rid of. Yeah, Heinz Field is. They got rid of ours. They combined it and they made it a university.
Okay. So, thank God for the Roonies, right?
Yeah. Well, thank God for University of Pittsburgh for allowing them to have that idea.
So anyway, so some great memories, and that's what the fellowship's all about in the locker room, and seeing those kind of things and remembering what it's like to go through the pain.
So do you believe the hype where they're saying Lincoln may be the next Cowboy coach?
There's always possibilities, and right now he is mainstream as far as what he does with the players. 3 quarterbacks. You're talking about 3 Heisman-winning quarterbacks?
It's crazy.
But 3 quarterbacks in 3 years.
That's what I'm saying.
As a head coach. His first time as a head coach and having all this adversity constantly coming. And then we have players and younger players, a lot of freshmen that are contributing.
I don't think he's going to, because Oklahoma has too much of a. I mean, if you go and give this, and he's earned it, you give him the 10-year deal. Like here, we're basically you're here until you decide you don't want to be here, and pretty much guarantee him without the stress of having a professional team here today, gone tomorrow. The way you're getting paid in college, why would you, if you don't have to, why leave? I mean, the incentive, to incentivize was just to build on a legacy. I mean, Saban was lucky. He got to leave, come back, and win again. Not many guys can come back and keep flowing back and forth and having success. But if you got it good, he's a young guy. I may look, I'll look at that in 5 years. I'm going to go ahead and win 3 more.
Exactly.
And I'm going to write my own check. And if I don't want to do that, I can just stay. Saban can retire for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Oklahoma.
He's Bear Bryant. He could be Bear Bryant of Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma's always going to be able to pay an outstanding coach, based on what our records are, and the stadium is always full. I think this last game, they announced it 128.
Y'all put more seats in the
128
auditorium.
Games sold out.
Wow.
So it doesn't end.
Good run. Good
And,
run. You guys better enjoy this. Good run.
But Lincoln can sit there in Norman
run.
and make $6 million a year for the next 20 years. Well, do the math. 120 million.
And don't
in Norman, Oklahoma.
And you ain't competing against nobody in your own town. You are the town.
You are.
So I mean, why would you leave that? Why would you leave that?
And that's why Coach Switzer lives right off campus.
That's why Coach Switzer ain't never left.
Exactly.
That's why he still lives.
He's still a king
Yeah.
there. He's still considered a king.
As he should be. He earned it. And
Yeah.
why? That's why, speaking of this, and this is probably a good locker room conversation.
Can we come back to that in just a minute?
Yeah, well, let me give a teaser. So what I want to call back and talk about is the culture of a locker room. And if you play for multiple teams, what defines where you live in your retirement?
In just a minute. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever in need of an attorney, it'd be a very good idea to call up Mr. Vincent Carrizales. He will be able to come out and help you out with any type of family law, criminal defense, estate planning, probate. He can bond you out any time of the night. If you're inside the loose Sterrett, what do you want to call that, retirement home, you can easily go over to the phone, step up to the phone, and his phone number's on there, 214-942-4500, and he will either get you an extended stay or he can get you out, whichever you like, depending on how you like the hospitality there at Loose Sterrett. But definitely keep Vince in your back pocket. Give him a call. He's located at the Bank of America building in Oak Cliff, Texas. Billy, I think we were out there one day in Oak Cliff, right down there.
Yeah, we did a Cowboys event out there.
Yes,
I think I didn't
yes.
need that. I didn't need an advocate.
Yes, there we go.
But if I needed one, I know who to call.
And let's go to our next sponsor, King Wheels, located at the corner of Military and Buckner Boulevard. Those guys have over 500 sets of wheels and tires in stock. They are now putting tires and wheels on current Cowboy players. Anybody that wants a lift kit, which, Reggie, I know you're into that. I pulled up and I saw your big pickup out there. And I think all Oklahoma athletes are given a pickup truck out there, aren't they? Or
Not my school.
no? Okay. Just asking. Billy, did they give anything to Pitt students when you played there?
Yeah, an
Snowmobile.
itinerary and my practice schedule.
But definitely go visit Adib over at King Wheels, and you tell him you heard about it on Paco's Locker Room Talk and receive 10% off your whole purchase. And let's go right back to Billy Davis, and he's got a teaser here. So let's.
No. So what I want to talk about is this, and I think a lot of people want an insight on this because you just see when they see us. And I don't know if he gave you a proper introduction. Did he already go through your?
Yes, we talked about it
Okay,
in high
good.
school and college.
I'm sorry, I was late. I apologize. So, what determines? And I think this has a lot to. If you could look at the culture of a team, right? You just talked about Pittsburgh, and I played in multiple places, and I know there's certain economic issues that you got to decide. But isn't it? You usually stay close, and we talked about Barry, to where you have the most satisfaction, because, your community, whatever, you can still go back and have this, reach back and still hang out with the fellas. How do you think that is determined? Because haven't heard a whole lot of guys say I'm retiring in Green Bay. I mean, Brett Favre's a Mississippi.
Or in Buffalo.
Yeah, they're in Mississippi, for God's sake.
I think a lot of it, obviously, different cities and economics fall into play. A lot of us leave the game and the income is not the same. And so it's hard to stay in New York whenever you're not on an NFL salary versus
Absolutely
on one.
Yes.
And but I think also your college that you're tied to, because you went there at 18, they saw you grow and mature, you met thousands of people that were there for the same reason you were, to get a college education. And so you have a lot of connections there. So I think geographically a lot of people stay within that area of college. And then as a pro, as well as I do, you go to some of the cities, you don't really want to set up and raise your family there.
Yeah, we in and we out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's a job. You're there to do your business. And a lot of guys, once they start having kids, don't have their families travel with them.
Yeah, something like a military family.
Yeah, they set up a home base somewhere, and the kids got to go to school, and so they set up a home base, and that's what happens. So, I think a lot of it's tied to the collegiate. Where'd you go to school? What area did you grow up in? Like I was telling Paco, I'm from Dallas. I'm from Grand Prairie, so it was naturally for me to come back here, know a lot of people.
Full circle. You were one of the lucky ones. And I'm from El Paso, so I mean, it's
exactly. So, those are the things that I look at when I talk to guys, and then, you got the guys like Deion Sanders that, set up home here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have guys like that that, couldn't
live anywhere,
retire anywhere. And, it's the being able to reach back and still have that touch point here. Even though I don't know who people identify him more with, Atlanta or here.
Or San Francisco.
San Francisco, he was there for a cup of coffee, but
it
was a hell of a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
he got a ring out of it.
Yeah, he picked up a trophy.
I'll take that cup of coffee day of the week, twice on Sundays, which he did. But Joe, you come out here, and I think to that question, it's this. So we had a unique locker room, and I think that people, true Cowboy fans will treasure. What was that relationship? So speaking of living together, speak about the kind of little cliques that we had in the locker room, because it was we had your little segments, and then everybody kind of came together.
Absolutely.
From the Dixon Edwards, all from that linebacker room. Obviously, we have all our special teams engagements was always a comedy show. But could you definitely speak to that?
Name some of the players that you play with.
Obviously, like you said, Godfrey Miles, Dixon Edwards, Robert Jones. With Troy and Emmett and Michael and with Daryl Johnson. So you had all these cliques, but you also had guys that were there for the first two Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So
that was our deal.
Yeah, the 1 and 15, 0 and 15 guys.
Right.
They've been through it. And then all of a sudden, we kind of caught up to the tail end of it, and momentum was already there. The culture's now started, and it's established. And
you got to plug into it.
You got to plug in and go. So I was, married and living in Grand Prairie and, going back and forth to practice and all that good stuff. So I was one of those guys after practice, I got to go home. Versus single guys that, just hanging out. But yeah, you had those little cliques, but at the same time, you always had this constant, voice out there too, Charles Haley. They broke all the cliques. They broke us all up, cussed you out.
Yeah.
That was on a good day.
Oh yeah. No, one day, they're out there playing basketball. He's Reggie, you're on my team. That's all right. So I go out there, and I'm not a very good basketball player, but I can rebound, and so I miss a shot, and he catches the ball and throws it back to her. I miss another shot. He said, "Man, I thought you were an athlete." I said, "You ain't made a shot either."
Exactly.
He said, "That's why I picked you on my team." I said, "Dude, just make a layup."
But that was fun. Things like that, people, because if anyone looked into our locker room, you would think, man, these guys don't like each other. But that was our communication styles.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because people call it hazing. Some people will call it, man, that just seems like a toxic relationship. But overall, I mean, we had kind of this unique blend of talent, personality, and living on that kind of that edge,
Absolutely.
inside. And you can see some of those gaps with this team. So, now I know you do. So do you still engage with a lot of the our ex teammates from their time at the Cowboys?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I was telling Paco a story about Robert Jones. He and I was conversing over the Texas game. We're texting each other, giving each other a hard time because one of his sons played at Texas for a little while, and his other son went to school, Sam Ellinger, and we played them at Austin Westlake when Robert was in high school. So, those are the kind of relationship Dixon Edwards. You talk to him every once in a while. So that never changes, those opportunities to fellowship with each other. Right. And I did some football camps for years, and we'll bring those guys out, and that was a good chance for us to bond. But it also showed, my kids, my son, my daughter, what those relationships were all about,
right,
and how long they lasted.
Right. It's like the college and this,
exactly,
landmark moments in your life are
absolutely
life. Right.
And so it's great to see those guys and see different guys, and as we spread out across the country. A couple of years ago they had the reunion for their Super Bowl 30 team, which
was awesome. Well, it was the
90. They celebrated the 93, 94 guys,
right? And they put them on stage. I'm like, when is ours? Exactly. When is ours? Because that was a big deal. Troy put on an event on that one.
Over at Gillies.
I think
downtown Dallas.
Because you did those 2 years. So for all of you don't know, so Troy a couple of years ago celebrated. What was that anniversary?
20 years for the 94.
So it was the 94, the first Super Bowl championship. Who they brought all the people who celebrated that Super Bowl, and and I guess on the next one that we're having, and the guys get recognized, they bring back all the championship teams. They bring them all. So, if you won the 90s, you're invited to this, but then you get recognized for the year that you're celebrating that year. And when I tell you this was A1, top of the line, production is getting it mildly, because you get every single person, other than Jerry Jones' Hall of Fame party. I would say this one would rival that. And let me tell you, Cowboy Nation, they don't have reunions for if you don't win anything. they don't celebrate you and bring back entire teams in past history if you ain't won anything. So I keep telling these young cats, I'm like, look, man, that's great you're making the money. That's great you're doing what you got to do. But they don't have reunions for 12 and 4 teams.
Yeah.
They have reunions for championship teams.
Absolutely.
But Troy always did everything kind of over the top. I mean, he remember the Christmas gifts every year. I mean, everybody looked forward to what Troy was giving away. And
well, explain that. I mean, I think that's important. It's about the culture of the locker room.
I mean, Troy didn't leave anyone out. I mean, he took care of not only his fellow teammates, but he took care of the staff. I mean, he was an all-out guy. I mean,
I'm hoping that culture's still there. Like all these guys making all that money, because what Troy would do. So just to speak to that guy. So and Reggie can speak to this. So we have every Christmas. Emmett started doing it because I think they were like, "Well, Emmett, damn dog, you want
all that money, man.
Man. All these people working for you to get that money. Won't you help?" The other person who did do that was 88, but that's another story. So, but Troy, leader of the team, and this is a leadership quality. He would buy everyone a very elaborate gift every single year. It'd be in front of your locker room. In front of your locker. And of course he would take care of his linemen even more, as he should. But he took of everyone on the team that got something special for him. Now, whether he had sponsors or not, it was thought out and personalized to you. And then Emmett started doing the same. So those kind of things build culture. They build trust. They build, it's like any kind of family, construct, that the people who do the most receive the most. And he built a culture of not wanting to let the man down next to you.
Well, the guys over at the facility would tell me, make sure all the cars are parked to one side of the practice field. I was like, okay. And it was around Christmas time. And, of course, Troy would have that 18-wheeler back up, and that's how he'd unload everything. Have it, and when you came off, remember you guys come off the field, and your stuff wasn't right there in those lockers, right in front of the locker.
Yep, right in
I
the
mean, you didn't
locker.
have to look for it or anything. It was sitting right there in front of the locker, and Troy never got up and gave a speech or anything. He
Nope.
just,
You're welcome. Walk out the door.
yeah, that's it. And what about what he did for Al? Remember, Big
Oh,
Al?
wow, yeah.
I mean, he said, man, I just get tired of every time I go home, I look on the side of the road, and Al's over there broke down, always trying to fix his truck. And he said, Paco, I just got tired of it. And I just told myself, you know what, I'm going to go buy Al a damn truck, and he'll appreciate that the rest of his life. And that was the end of the story. And sure enough, he gave me the keys. He said, give those to Al. And I don't need you to tell anyone anything. And that was Troy.
Yeah.
And I gave it to Al, and Al was like, you're kidding. This for me? I was like, yeah, Troy said that's your truck. I mean, Al, man, he'll never forget that the rest of his life.
No, that's special.
That's just the way Troy was. Great guy.
Yeah, it was good. So Reggie, let me ask you this. So with some of these things that we're sharing, can you share maybe some pointed things that you should remember, especially from our championship year? Mm-hmm. Because I know we had some doubts and we pulled that back, and I know people want insight on we won it, and however that was accomplished, it was accomplished. Whether that was momentum, whether that was a culture already created, but we were chosen to ask to come be contributors to that, and we contributed in a way to finish that.
Yeah.
So maybe you can speak to some of that, because I think a lot of things translate. There's one thing about football. It's a contact game. You play the game, and nothing's really changed. You still got to hit, tackle, and get up and hit, tackle, get up, hit, tackle, repeat, rinse, wash, repeat. It's the same thing. It's a game that takes that, and it takes a lot of fortitude. So if you could speak to some of those.
Well, I mean, you just talked about being consistent and, continually doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So I remember we're playing up at Washington, and I'm in on the, punt team, and I got everything going. And then all of a sudden I hear our call for a fake. And I'm like, did I miss something in the huddle?
Right.
It's 4th and 12. Why are we running a fake?
Right.
I can't call timeout, but I'm like, I know I heard it.
Because Abby was all over.
Yeah. And so I'm blocking at the same time. I'm supposed to hook the defensive end versus blocking him out.
Right.
And I'm in between of what to do. And I'm watching everybody else out of my peripheral, and I'm like,
I'm going to run this play. I'm going to run this play.
yeah. And I'm halfway that he almost gets through, and I was like, no, it's not a fake.
Right.
So I come over to the sideline, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? And I said, you called a fake. I didn't call a fake. Somebody called a fake.
Some of the Redskins.
Yes, he had just left Dallas the year before.
Wow.
So
Smart.
he used our audible.
Wow.
And so you're dialed in, and all of a sudden you just hear a trigger word.
That's smart.
Then the next week, we're changing the word. Well, you should have already thought of that.
Exactly.
Wow. Leave, and all of a sudden.
Intel. That's the intel.
That's the intel. And I'm like, I was stuck. I got 3 seconds to make a decision.
Wow.
Back when special teams mattered.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was it was games like that everybody knew you were coming. You're the Cowboys. We opened up that year
That
against
game.
the Giants.
They would bring in players just for that week to game plan.
Exactly.
We're going to pay you $100,000 just so we can game plan this team.
To know what they're doing. And,
Exactly.
So you ran into that constantly, but it's little moments like that where the team with Emmett, and we're going to pound you. We're going to do this thing. Playmaker's going to run his fades. He's going to run a little power out, little post of Alvin Harper. I mean, you're going to get those things that are going to come at you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you wore that star. You win every game knowing that you're going to get their very best.
Absolutely.
And it was just going to be a different sense of urgency. It wasn't like Pittsburgh playing Cincinnati at the time.
Yeah.
You're going to get that game every single week.
And
the
guys, hold that thought, because these fans want to hear a few more stories from both you and Billy. Things that happen on the field in the huddle. But right now we're going to go to break. But definitely we got to have some good stories like that. Those are great. And we're going to go to break in just a moment.
This is Jesse A. Montoya, raised on the streets of West Dallas. started boxing in the late 1950s, making a promise to his mother that he would move her out of the poverty-stricken area. As a kid, Jesse would be one of the first in the state of Texas to compete against other African American kids during the lift of segregation and the beginning of the civil rights movement. 60 years have passed and Jesse continues to be a part of the sport. His passion for boxing has allowed him to serve as a trainer, a coach, a mentor, and a community leader, working with both amateur and professional fighters. Jesse has literally mentored generations of young fighters since the 1970s. He is recognized as one of the first Hispanic coaches in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, while pioneering the first inner-city amateur boxing program that has awarded him and the boxing gym that carries his namesake with numerous team trophies. Throughout the years, Jesse and his staff, that includes his sons Anthony and Michael, have trained many successful boxers, a program acknowledged by USA Boxing. This is Jesse A. Montoya of Montoya Boxing, a pillar of amateur boxing in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Back live from Dallas, Texas, along with co-host Billy Davis and Super Bowl champion, both Super Bowl champions actually in 95.
Super Bowl 30, baby.
Yes.
Super Bowl 30.
95, yes.
How many years ago is that? I got hit in the head quite a bit. And whoever said they liked this Eagles hat, it will be going into the trash as soon as we leave this show. So good looking. Appreciate you engaging. Wrong comment. Die Eagles fly. Or die Eagles die. However, whatever you guys say. What was I saying? Oh, I can't ask. I can't remember. I got hit in the head. So how many years is 2000 and what is this,
2019.
Mine is 1994. 24 years?
20.
See, I'm telling you how heated I am. I played in Baltimore, an expansion team. We won this. We were the team of the millennium because we won the first two. We were the 2000 Super Bowl champions. I was blessed to be on the 95, 30-35. So if you see 30-35, that's why I use that. So 35, we won Super Bowl 35. These motherfuckers already won another Super Bowl in between that time.
Yeah.
Within 10
Yes,
years,
they have.
within a decade.
Yes, that is true.
And the last Super Bowl of the team that, obviously I covet the most, it's been 24 years. It's coming up on a quarter.
Yeah, long time.
Heck, we all remember Jason, and he's a good guy, but man, at some point or another, it's time to move on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't want to talk bad about the guy, but man, after how long has he been with? He was assistant coach.
8 years.
8 years. He was assistant coach, and then they got rid of who was he?
He's the fourth. He's the fifth longest tenured coach. So it's Belichick, Tomlin. Let me see. And there's two other coaches. He's fifth in that group, right?
Yeah.
And all of them have won a Super Bowl except for him.
Wow.
So as the longest tenured coach in the present NFL, he's the fifth on that list.
Wow.
And hasn't even seen an AFC. Well, he has been in the NFC Championship once, but he has not won the chip. So,
And think how many coaches they've gone through since Mary Switzer won it.
yeah, it's been a turnstile.
Can you name them all?
I don't know.
Well, yeah.
The only thing we can that's comparable to that is the number of Cleveland quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Billy, we don't have that long. Billy. We don't have that long. So
It's a long list.
So it's tradition. You say OU. I mean, I'll say Pittsburgh. Even being Pittsburgh, we fell off. But even with that, when you have a strong historical, standard of how you go about your work pale, how you go about doing your business, how you go about your business, and standing up to the standard of what this thing is. this is unacceptable. I mean, it's really, you know, I mean, how you can imagine if OU sitting up there playing to the level of, you know, saying
Pittsburgh?
oh man, you funny. Some major team. Jokes got jokes. They still, hey. I love my Pittsburgh Panthers. But you know, you don't have that standard anymore. And you know what I see that's missing?
What's that?
And this might go to a good special teams conversation. I don't see any dogs on this team. Like when I see someone hurt, it's like, oh, I'm hurt. I'm not gonna name who it is because because it's just I just don't see that like in your face, you know. Because I mean, speak about what people don't see on television that is going on the bench that got nothing to do with the coach.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you would get challenged, you know, if someone didn't think you were doing your job, and you know you took it personal.
Whew, yes.
And so you blocked a little harder, you went a little harder, you ran a little faster. You did whatever you could not to let your fellow man down. Yes. And I think a lot of what's going on today is, you know, the money's gotten so big that some of these guys are making business decisions.
A la Deion Sanders.
They're making business decisions just like Deion did years ago because they know next year is $6-7 million.
Yeah, but Deion knew, said, look, y'all paid me to cover. You didn't pay me to tackle.
Right. Yeah, he set the standard. Hey, this is what I'm here for.
But what he said you paid me for, he did.
Yes.
So many people we paying for, and they ain't even doing what we paying them for.
I agree, yeah.
So if you coming off that edge, I need you to do what we paid you to do.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I don't need to hear any other excuses. I need you to figure out what I paid you to do to figure out. Because you're supposed to be the best at what you do. Go ahead. Continue.
Absolutely.
Piss me off.
Well, well, I think that's a lot of it, though, is that, you know, it's that team chemistry is setting that standard.
Sure.
And then you also have the salaries that are forcing good players to leave. You know, DeMarcus Ware, he was that dog that you need to keep on the program.
Yeah, keep people accountable.
Yes, and he's gone to Denver. You know, you think, hey, what did we lose? You lost leadership.
Yes.
You know, and who'd you replace him with? You know, so those are the kind of things when that happens. You know, you lose leadership where that core of the Cowboys for years stuck together.
Yep.
You know,
Same page,
same consistency, and then they put in new parts every year. But, you know, and I think that's where it boils down to is having that consistency, but keeping those dogs, like you said, when you find them, the Larry Allens of the world, you know, they're hard to come by. But think about all the Hall of Famers that we play with.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have a who's. The Hall of Famers in our era.
Yeah,
because I made a list at one time of everyone I played with or against that became Hall of Famers, and it was damn near everybody in the 90s.
Exactly.
It was the whole thing. And here's another point. And I'll give you a great special team story that Reggie would appreciate too, because you know, back when we played, you could have your job like you could lose your job at the game. You know, if you don't go out here, I mean, everybody calls coaching techniques. If you don't go out here and make a play, I don't see how you're going to be able to show up on Monday. Type conversations, right? Yeah. and I'll get to that real quick. But to your point on the money's getting too big. See, the problem has been, and this is why I love special. This is why special teams is a needed commodity because it actually builds the character of a football player. And then you realize how important it is, and it's the one cliche that Joe used to always say: "It never catches up to you until it catches up to you." Right? And then when it catches up to you, too late. You know that question has already been answered. But before when we play, you'd have starters going that special team like, "Look, man, you are not getting this done. We need this field position, or we need to make something big happen. Get off the field. I'm going to take it." You'd have starters going onto that special team, running down on kickoff, doing kickoff return, and if it was a punt return, you had Dion back there. The starting defense, like, well, we staying in here.
Yeah, we're gonna block.
We're gonna block.
Wow.
You know, so you had this guys who had that internal. I mean, and you know what's so funny? People always talk about the Patriot way and Bill Belichick. He recruits players who do that right today. The reason why he is so unique and why he's a genius because he ain't never changed the game. He hasn't gone into this specialty ideology. You know what he's done? I get football players, and I put them in position to win football games. And if some guys need to stay on that field and do whatever I ask them, that's what they need to do. The Patriot way is basically football 1990s.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
sacrifice on the field.
Sacrifice. And I can remember we were playing the Eagles. We're playing them cold. That's our infamous 4th and 1. Remember that Emmett can get the 4th one? So I'm out there. It was freezing. I think that is, even though I played in Pittsburgh, that's the coldest game I think I ever played in my entire life. That it was the Frozen Bowl, whatever they called it at that time. But it was wind chill was like below double digits, well into the double digits. I mean, you would stand, they had these heat thermals, and you could. I would be so cold. I'd have my hand in, and it'd be still cold while the plastic and leather is melting on my hand. I remember I stood on this, so my entire shoe melted over my foot, like I was making a customized, footy. And I can remember, I clearly did not feel like playing football that day, because my body was like, "Hey, man." I know this is what we're supposed to be doing, but I don't know if we'll be doing this today. Exactly. What are we doing outside in tights? And it's below zero, man. Yeah. I was lathered up in Vaseline, and I can remember Joe was on fire. I mean, he was spitting, and mid-spit would be turning into ice cubes. And by the time it hit my face, he'd be like, king, king, king. So it was even more effective. And he's like, man, if you don't make a play, man, he told me that. If you don't start going out there and doing something, playing better, basically, I don't know if I can see you on Monday. Well, my body woke up that morning, and I remember it was Charlie Williams. We're playing the wing. I was playing the gunner, double teaming. We started making some plays, and I remember they had kicked the ball, and I had almost caught it into the end zone to get a touchdown. But it was one of those times. Joe was high demand, and that's what you loved. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, who's the head coach, used to say he used to play all the Cowboys special teams the way you play special teams, because he was a special teams coach of the Eagles before he went to the Baltimore Ravens. He goes, this is how you're supposed to do it. It is really the internal heart and beat of that soul, because you have everyone from offense and defense playing on one single team.
Absolutely.
That's why it's called special.
Yep. And you got to do your job. Stay in your lane. Make a play. Like I said, I made a tackle against Green Bay and caused a fumble and recovered it. And, it's a highlight, ball position. All right, now we got the ball on their 25 going in. That's a touchdown.
Yes.
Those are scores. So, yeah, that's the love of the game. I mean, that's why I would hate that they ever take that part of it out, because it makes a lot of guys, like you said, toughen up, enjoy the game, understand that if I'm out of my lane, they can come over here. If I get double teamed, don't split the double team.
It's about responsibility.
Yes.
You have to do your responsibility. And if you try to be too much, do too much, it only catches up to when it catches up to. Exactly. And then when they see that as a weakness, going right wherever you are at.
Yep.
Because you'll be out of position.
Yeah, guys, hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to go to break. But when we come back, I want to see, in your opinions, what other sport in the guaranteed salaries and the way everyone's playing, what other sport do you think football learned that from? Where did it come from? And we'll talk about that more when we come back from
the me culture.
Okay, guys, the Cowboy House. I don't know if you ever heard about this place, Reggie, but this guy here went into Texas Stadium and he said, I'm going to buy those seats. And he bought every single one of those seats. And then he said, go ahead and roll up the turf for me. I want all the turf.
I thought they auctioned that stuff out.
No, this guy bought everything.
Oh, okay.
Bought everything. And if you need some stadium seats, that's the man you see. He'll hook you up with
some, huh?
Yes, and I mean he's got all kinds of Cowboy memorabilia. I mean,
He went to China to start making some more.
Yeah, he wouldn't have fabricated it.
he made all his money in Dubai.
Yeah.
That's where he makes all his money. But I mean he gets all these. See the Rangers. He went to the Rangers ballpark and Globe Life Park. Bought a bunch of seats there. But this guy, I mean, heck, even old college game rings. I mean, he can find those too. But anything that's left over in the lockers now at the practice facility, this guy ends up buying it all. Buys it all, and you can go online. He's got a warehouse from floor to ceiling, just full of stuff. And right next door, he's got like a FedEx building.
Really?
So everything's shipped within 24 hours.
Mail it out.
Yeah, right away.
That's a Cowboy fan.
Yes.
Do about stadium.
But what I was getting at as far as the guys, I don't know if you remember, Billy. I think we had this talk. You didn't play much on the hoopsters, but I know Billy made some hoopster trips with us. But Billy, I think we talked about this one time where a lot of this guaranteed money that the basketball teams started to make, and people were like, man, the enthusiasm, the team camaraderie wasn't there anymore. And then all of a sudden it came over to football, and it was everybody was getting guaranteed money, and we talked about business decisions. So you're not going to go out there and give an arm or a leg if you don't have to, because hey, I still want to be able to walk and enjoy this money that they're guaranteeing me.
Well, I mean, you have some of that, but I think that it's a young man's game now. I mean, they're so much bigger, stronger, faster.
Yep.
And it's harder for the 35-year-old to keep up with the young 26-year-old that just came out of college. I think it's also good to have some turnover in our system, because you take those college heroes and then fans start following those guys because they got 3 or 4 Oklahoma guys. They got some Pittsburgh guys on the team. And then that's where the money comes in at, because the way they're drafted now, the base salary is so much larger than what it was when we played. Yeah. But it kind of ebb and flows where and we can all say it, but there's the pros guys, the Emmets and the Michaels that deserve everything they got because they did it for a long time at the same level. And I don't care if the 26-year-old came in all pro, he couldn't cover those guys.
Oh.
I remember waiting in line for Emmett to get up, and I'm counting people. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, time I shoot.
Exactly.
It's a one-on-one with Emmett. You're going to be wrong every time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sit on your heels, he's going to break it out. You go over too hot, he's going to come back inside.
Right.
You're going to be wrong. And get yelled at.
Right.
So. But those, that's where the game has changed, and the guys deserve it. We all at 50
Get your
years.
money.
Yeah, I'll be 50 in next week, and so those when the elements start to pop up. Your back hurts a little bit longer.
Yeah.
That's the slope that goes steep right after 50. Yep.
And so, those guys, they deserve the money. There's so much money being made from the owners to the NFL in general. Our commissioner gets paid $30 million a year.
One guy. One dude.
So, those are the kind of things that, the money has changed. It definitely allows guys to make some business decisions, but there's more players getting an opportunity, because in the 70s, there was no turnover.
No, you haven't had a job in the offseason.
Yeah.
Because, the Frank Gores, the Tom Bradys, and unless you play quarterback, you're not going to see a whole lot of 10-year guys anymore.
No.
And how you can see that, working with the alumni, being a director for the NFL alumni, you kind of see trends. And I didn't even know this until recently. So the year to get vested, and if you know this, the new vestation is 2 years and 3 games now. So they took it down. So that means if they're taking it down, that means there's not a lot of guys getting it. They don't give away vestation to be vested into a league if a whole bunch of guys are making it. Mm-hmm. So if they've taken it down a year, that means, to your point, the turnover is very, very high.
Absolutely.
And your tenure is very, very low. Mm-hmm. You have your actuaries out there who are saying, okay, how much money are we going to be? Because they are not trying to give away money. But to the bigger conversation of what you were saying is, when did this blend into, we should have been standardized guarantee contracts before any of these other ones, because we're the biggest, largest moneymaker as far as a sports entity. So I think there's just a period of time to where you're going to see this transitioning, and people are going to recognize what it is, because it's so new. Of course, you're going to have a lot of self-preservation, but at some point you're going to have to reestablish, because there's some organization it has not affected at all. They still have great camaraderie. They still have. It's about finding that right blend. It's an additional tool to find the right connections to make a great organization. And once you do that, you can. But now you can do that. And what do they say in what's his name? Tom Hanks. What's his famous movie?
Forrest Gump.
I got one less thing to worry about.
Yeah.
Money, I got one less thing to worry about. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go win a championship. Let's now establish a legacy. So once they start getting that legacy conversation and putting guys in there, I think that's fine. And as a healthcare, director and looking for guys' health and looking for different opportunities for guys to get world-class healthcare with their world-class athletes that they were, they should be getting world-class contracts and money so they can enjoy it because they're building a league that is making obnoxious money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's just like you were talking about bigger, faster, and stronger. They were interviewing Rocket the other day on television, and he was talking about when he first came out and he ran a 4.5, and they thought he was like lightning. And he says nowadays, shoot, if you run a 4.5, you're like a linebacker.
Yeah, what's that?
You better be running. If you're a cornerback or a running back, you better be running a 4.2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he says it's changed. It's changed. But yeah, I'm all for the player. I've always said, players, get your money. I'm all for that because you guys take a lot of pounding, and people don't realize that. It's almost like getting beat up every Sunday. And I'm not saying you're losing, but it's like you've been in a fight every Sunday.
It is what it is. It's the contact. It's the full contact, traumatic over your entire body. Any kind of trauma that you're doing that is severe, and you have limited protection, and it is what it is. We signed up for this. I get that.
Yeah.
And I want to get a debate and said, what do you guys deserve? We deserve everything we get because if we built this into a multi-billion dollars, you got to share it with there's only 23,000 guys who've ever played this damn game. I mean, really, you could take care of everybody 4 or 5 times over and their mamas and their daddies in a 1 year in a 1 year revenue generating in this sport. You can take care of everybody for the rest of their life and not even think twice about it and keep moving.
Yep.
So to have to fight over it it just seems ridiculous and painfully self-centered for those who are controlling the situation. And we all have our people who take advantage of it. But I would be remiss. What do you think, as a former, pro athlete, former Cowboy, former champion, that this team needs to do to get back on the right track? Because in my personal opinion, that defense got exposed.
They did. I mean, and just like you just talked about, the work's the work, the pain's the pain.
Yep.
But it feels even better when you win.
Oh my gosh!
The pain kind of goes away when you win. So they need to understand that.
Yep.
And I think that's it. The work's the work. The pain's gonna be the pain. But some of that goes away when you win. So the W is what really matters.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, that's
We're
how
gonna
you
do
get
all
the
this.
ring.
Let's leave with something.
Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna go through the. I don't care if you're 1-16 or 16-1. No.
Right.
The work is still the same.
Yep.
And when you get hit in the mouth, you get hit in the mouth. So don't go home and with an L. So that's what they need to do. Just refocus, understand every game counts. It's not like basketball. We can drop 2 and we're okay. We'll reset.
Right.
You got to take it personal.
Right.
Every time you step on that field, we're here to win.
You got 16 tries.
We're here to win.
That's it.
That's my judgment day every Sunday, and I need to be the best I can be and win. Period.
That's it.
I think it's a team depth. I mean, I've never seen a team
Lose one person, then they all fall apart.
Yeah.
That's
In the 90s, we go back to the 90s, Billy. I mean, if you got hurt, Charlie Williams stepped right in. You couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, well, if Mike went down or K-Dub, who started, they could plug me in.
Yeah.
And when he's ready, he can come back in. But we don't fall off that much. Yeah. And I don't know if that's coaching or what that is, but it shouldn't be this drastic. Not for this type of team.
Well, it goes back to fighting the salary cap. You're taking some players that aren't longevity players for you, but you're going to give them their 1 year. That's the vetting,
Right.
They're only going to get 1 year in.
Right.
They may go somewhere else for another year. Then
A
they're
cup of
done.
coffee. Right.
And miss the vetting. So that's what happens is that the money is still playing that game of I got to take this player not because he's the best player, but because he's cheaper.
Because he's the most affordable player.
Yeah.
So it's a business
To make that
decision.
to make the team work.
But still, that's
know?
the culture that I think that I'm finding hard to accept is like my signing bonus was $1,800, something like that. And I knew I was on a limited, I played every day to get
another day.
Amen. And what I'm seeing is that this is a great platform because if you in Buffalo you ain't gonna get the same exposure if you in Dallas or anywhere else. So when you do, if you are in this position, I would, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, whenever I get that opportunity, that's tape. Because I know everyone's watching.
Mm-hmm.
But it works both ways. Because if you don't do well, everyone's watching, and we all watching, and it's a little disturbing.
Okay, guys, I think that's just about does it for today. Again, I'd like to thank Reggie Barnes, Billy Davis for coming out. Next week, we will be going to Knockout Sports Bar in Mesquite, Billy. So we need to really put on a big show over there. We're going to have a crowd out there. We're going to give away some things. So we're going to have to sit down and refocus our plan here, Billy, and make it a big show.
Well, if we quit treating this like a hobby, I'm gonna start treating it like some work. Because the one thing I've always been told, because I used to do this before, you know what works? Work. So when we gonna put in that work, I'm trying to get the W. I ain't gonna try and just show up.
Exactly.
Reggie, I appreciate you coming out, man. Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to say goodbye, guys. Thanks for watching.